Hi, I'm Dr. Sharon Grossman, psychologist and coach helping healthcare professionals become medical mind ninjas during a crisis. In this video, I'd like to share with you some tips on how you can reach optimal performance. And I'm going to share with you both the do's and the don'ts. So let's start with things that you can do. It's really important to take breaks throughout the day, especially when the work that you do is so stressful. The reason this is because you need to take time out to recharge your battery. I often talk about tuning into your battery levels and asking yourself, as if you were your cell phone, like, what percentage is your charge right now? And if you find that your percentage is really low, you need to take a longer break. The longer or the more depleted you are, the longer the break needs to be. So make sure that you do that. And the more you take breaks throughout the day, the less depleted you get, because the stretches of time are actually shorter. Also, at the end of the day, it's really important to get good sleep so you can fully recharge that battery. And oftentimes I hear my clients say that they're kind of procrastinating going to sleep. They're spending hours zoning out in front of the television. They're checking social media. They're just finding ways to stay occupied, and they're not going to sleep. Be mindful of the time and make sure that you get the adequate number of hours that you need in order to recharge. And it's going to be a little bit different for everybody, and it might even change from day to day depending on what's going on at work. But notice on days when you feel extra tired, maybe go to sleep even extra early. So make sure that you're getting enough rest. Also, stay active. It's really important to move your body, and especially if you're feeling a lot of stress and anxiety, aerobic exercise is a great way to help release that. Be mindful of your thoughts and your feelings so that you can make good decisions. We've talked so much about negative thoughts. We've talked about how they correspond with all of our feelings and all of our behaviors. And so it's really important to manage that. One of the things that we might turn to when we're feeling stressed is food. And so be really proactive about eating stress-busting foods. Things like avocados, nuts, and blueberries are really good for you. They're rich in calories, but they're the right kind of brain food that you want to help you endure the situation that you're in. Also, find something that makes you feel normal and do it. So for some people, it might be going for a jog. For other people, it might be playing with their pet or playing an instrument. So whatever it is, find what that activity is for you and make sure that you give yourself an opportunity to engage in that activity. Also, if it's not already in your practice, you want to meditate. And I know that you probably hear this a lot, but I'm going to explain why this is so important. We know there are loads of benefits to meditation, but there's one in particular that is really important here. And that is that it helps with your emotion regulation. What it does is it reduces activity in the amygdala, which is that emotion center in your brain. And so what that does is it helps you be less reactive in the face of stress. So if you're on the job and you're feeling really stressed and you're not meditating and you're not taking good care of that, then you're more likely to be reactive. You're going to be more stressed out. You're going to not be as optimal. All right. Now, often I know that people have this barrier of time and energy, and they say, oh, I'm too tired, or there's not enough time. In the morning, they're too rushed, and at night, they're too drained. Well, you got to really structure your day where this is non-negotiable. This cannot be optional. You know how important this is. You know how beneficial it can be for you. So make this a priority. All right? And then another thing you can do, which takes up a lot less time, but is really important to be mindful and continue to do it, is to take 10 seconds and do some deep breathing or a purposeful yawn, as I call it, several times throughout each hour. And what that does is it helps to just change your mental state, right? If you're feeling really anxious, it might help ground you, and it just releases some of your stress and anxiety. So it's just about being mindful of like, oh my God, it's been an hour since I've done this, and take a few seconds. That's all it requires. Notice how you're feeling, breathe, and release. All right. So now that you know what to do, let's talk about the things that you need to avoid. So the first thing is you don't want to push yourself to the point of exhaustion, physical or mental. And a lot of times, when we go to work and then we have to come home, there's constant demands. And so we feel like we just have to respond and we have to react. Well, you got to do it mindfully so that you can survive, so that you can continue to be there. And here, this video is really about optimal performance. So how can we manage all these demands? And so it's really about tuning in again to your energy level and making sure that you're not pushing yourself beyond anything that's reasonable. Also, you want to take really good care of your body. So you want to avoid things like smoking, drinking alcohol, and using drugs. I know this may sound obvious, but a lot of physicians, for example, have substance use issues. I know it's a way that as a culture, as a society, we use alcohol and drugs to de-stress, but you've got to find other ways that are more helpful so that you can sustain your energy. Also, you want to avoid both overeating and undereating. You don't want to eat too much or not eat enough because you're so stressed that you don't find the time, you forget about meals. No, you got to have energy, and food is energy. So it's not just important to eat the right things, but it's important to eat it in the right amounts. Also, avoid withdrawing from other people. And when we're burned out, we tend to isolate. We withdraw, but what we need most is we need connection. And especially in this time of social distancing, it's so easy for us to fall through the cracks. So make sure to be mindful and not do that and really connect with other people. Also, you want to avoid oversleeping. You might have periods of time that there's just nothing to do. And so maybe you feel really sluggish. Maybe you feel depressed. Maybe you just want to stay in bed all day, but you want to avoid that because that can actually lower your energy levels and can lead to depression. You also don't want to procrastinate. So on the flip side, you don't want to fill every moment of every day with something to do so that you're this busybody and expending too much energy. And sometimes we do that because we want to avoid facing our problems. So don't do that. But on the flip side, you don't want to procrastinate either. You want to stay productive because it helps you feel good and confident and you feel like there's more meaning in your life. If you're feeling stressed, make sure that you're not taking it out on other people. And that can, that's something that you can manage if you're doing things to manage your stress like we talked about in the beginning, things like meditation. Also, don't zone out for too long. It's great if you want to watch Netflix, just for entertainment purposes, or if you want to communicate with your friends on social media, but don't spend hours upon hours doing those things because it's a huge energy drain. Also, don't ignore your feelings. You might notice that you have some feelings and that can be really scary for you. You might not know how to deal with it, but hopefully by now, after watching all these videos, you know that it's as simple as just acknowledging, and sometimes just doing that or naming your feeling can help you to reduce its intensity. And then there's all kinds of other tips that we talked about that can help you manage those emotions. So don't ignore them. Also, you want to avoid things like sugar, simple carbs, highly processed and fatty foods. These are things that we gravitate to when we're stressed, but they're not helpful. They're not leading you to optimal performance. So make really good decisions about what you eat. Don't ruminate on negative thoughts or obsess over the news. It's really easy for us to get caught in this negative spiral. So don't go there. Minimize your exposure to negativity and stay positive as much as you can. And now that you really know all the do's and don'ts, I want you to take a moment and really make a commitment to yourself about what you're going to incorporate into your wellness routine. Maybe some things that you've done or that you've been doing that are bad habits that you're going to stop, as well as some good habits that you can implement so that you can maximize your potential. And if you like this video, you're going to absolutely love the entire mini course that's available for free. So enroll today by going to www.medicalmindninja.com.